Let me tell you the best and easiest way to memorize the Quran. And it's going to sound simple, but listening to the Quran over and over and over again as much as you can, as frequently as you can, is going to make the biggest difference in A, your recitation, and B, the amount of time it takes you to memorize. The human brain is naturally able to memorize things so much faster through repetitive listening than through reading or writing or whatever other method you were using. For example, think about the fact that it's so easy to memorize a song. Even if you're not actively listening to music in your own time, when you go out in public, restaurants, malls, etc., and you hear the same song 3 or 4 times, you notice you start to memorize that song, even if you don't actually listen to it in your own time. In those cases, when you go out in public and you hear a song 3 or 4 times and you start to memorize it, you start to memorize it when you're not even fully paying attention to it every time it's playing. That is on top of the fact that the human brain finds it so much easier to memorize things that are melodious or rhythmic, and lucky us, the Quran is naturally melodious and perfectly rhythmic. SubhanAllah, think about the fact that the Quran is not just a bunch of verses written in order. One of the reasons for the Quran's complexity is that it is able to convey perfect meaning in perfect order while still maintaining melody and harmony and rhyme. And that in itself is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it makes it so much easier to memorize even if you're not reading. And subhanAllah, this makes me think about the fact that the Quran wasn't only made for memorization for people who were fortunate enough to be educated. Not everyone got to learn how to read and write. And so what's beautiful about this is that you can memorize the Quran even if you don't know how to read and write. So the first thing is that listening to the Quran is going to help you memorize much faster. Like me personally, it takes me half the time to memorize a surah when I listen to it repetitively versus when I just read it out loud. The second thing is it's going to improve your recitation drastically. Now you can study rules of recitation all you want, that is important, but if you're only studying the rules and you're not actually listening to them being applied during recitation, it's going to be very difficult for you to apply them correctly and at the correct time. Hence why Quran teachers always recite first and then get their students to copy them exactly in the way they recite. Plus the fact that reading out loud on your own, you're not going to be able to catch your own mistakes because there are so many little rules, punctuation, harakat, ways of pronunciation, when to pause, when to not pause. You're not going to be able to catch all of that if you're not listening. But when you listen to a certain surah repetitively, your brain will automatically memorize when the reciter pauses, when certain words are extended, pronunciation, when certain vowels are hidden, and so on and so forth. So the end goal is not just to memorize, but it's to memorize correctly. It's to be able to recite the Quran correctly.